You're sitting across from someone new, maybe a colleague like Mulher Dentes Grandes. She shares a small, personal story, a moment of genuine vulnerability offered over coffee. And you feel it instantly. A subtle shift inside you, a quiet wall sliding into place. Hesitant, non-committal smile and an unclear reply are offered. Because your mind isn't just listening to her words, it's running a full-scale threat assessment on her intentions. It's scanning for anomalies, cross-referencing her tone with her micro-expressions. Is this vulnerability a trap? What's her objective? This isn't a chat with Mulher Dentes Grandes. It's a frantic threat assessment happening entirely inside your own head. If that internal threat assessment feels painfully familiar, you need to hear this. It is not a sign that you're broken, cold, or a negative person. It is the signature of a highly sophisticated protective system, an architecture built for a very good reason. And once you understand that architecture, you can learn to work with it, not against it. It all starts with a simple survival feature hardwired into your brain. This system is built on a powerful evolutionary principle called the negativity bias. From a survival standpoint, your brain is designed to remember the one time the berries were poisonous far more vividly than the 1,000 times they were perfectly fine. This threat detection job belongs to a small almond-shaped region called the amygdala, your brain's internal smoke detector. And its scanner isn't just looking for physical threats, it's constantly searching for the subtle social cues that might signal betrayal or danger. The problem isn't the smoke detector itself. So the real issue isn't the person sitting across from you. It's the ghosts of past disappointments that have turned your amygdala's sensitivity dial all the way up. This creates a state of constant alert we can call the hyper-vigilant mindset. The architecture of this mindset can be traced back to the groundbreaking work of British psychologist John Bowlby. His attachment theory suggests our earliest bonds with caregivers create a mental blueprint, what he called an internal working model for every relationship we'll ever have. This deep internal map is what tells us, long before we can articulate it, whether people are fundamentally safe and reliable. In simple terms, attachment can be secure or insecure. A child whose needs are consistently met learns a core truth: people are safe. I can depend on them. But if care is unreliable or inconsistent, the blueprint gets written differently. Relying on others is a risk. Be careful. This isn't a conscious memory. It's a foundational assumption about the world, an emotional operating system installed long ago. And so the hypervigilant mindset you experience today is simply that old operating system running on new hardware. It is the adult expression of that original protective blueprint. Your brain isn't being malicious or broken. It's just faithfully executing a program that, at one crucial time, was absolutely essential for your emotional survival. To understand its logic, think of it like a home security system. Some people have a home security system that just chimes when a door opens. Yours is more like a fortress. It has motion sensors in the hallways, pressure plates under the rug, and silent alarms that go straight to a central command. It's not a flawed system, it's a high-security system. And it was installed for a very good reason, because at some point there was a genuine threat. This explains the original architecture. But perhaps that origin story doesn't quite fit. What if your childhood felt safe? It's because our trust architecture isn't just built in childhood. It gets renovated by the earthquakes of adult life. A dishonest partner, a friend who shares a secret, a toxic work environment. Each one is a fresh data point. Your brain doesn't just register the pain, it files it away as powerful evidence. The internal monologue becomes a quiet, repeating whisper. See, I was right to be careful. This is what happens when you let your guard down. This specific type of psychological wound is so uniquely damaging, it actually has its own name in psychology. This is documented as betrayal trauma, a concept from psychologist Jennifer Freyd. Her work shows that when a trusted person causes harm, it does more than just hurt you. It shatters your fundamental assumptions about who is safe. The world no longer makes sense, and this initial fracture doesn't just heal. And this is where the architecture becomes self-reinforcing. The initial betrayal wires you for hypervigilance. That intense scanning makes it hard to form new bonds, which feels deeply isolating. And then that very isolation becomes the final piece of evidence your brain was looking for, confirming the core belief that you can truly only rely on yourself. So let's reframe that entire loop. This is not a failure to trust, it's a mastery of pattern recognition. Your brain has simply become an expert at spotting danger. The problem is how that expertise looks from the outside. Let's go back to the coffee shop for a moment. To woman dense grains who just offered a moment of genuine connection, that hyper-vigilance is completely invisible. All she experiences is distance, a subtle, objective observation. This is the unintended cost of that architecture. It doesn't just block threats, it can block warmth, and that knowledge can feel completely unsustainable. And I know the thoughts screaming inside you right now, but I can't live like this forever. I have to trust someone. You're right. But here's the crucial reassurance. Trust is not a binary switch you just flip on. It's a gradient, it's a process, and it is perfectly okay for your process to be more deliberate than someone else's. This isn't a race. We just need to unlearn a dangerous myth about what healthy trust is supposed to be. That's the core misunderstanding. Healthy trust is not blind faith. It's earned confidence. It isn't a single leap you take in the dark. It's a bridge you build plank by plank based on consistent, reliable actions. The problem is, the memory of a past collapse feels different. Because the memory of betrayal isn't a neutral fact. It's an active, physical warning. Your brain doesn't just recall what happened, it replays the feeling. That tightness in your chest, that sick knot in your stomach, that isn't just anxiety. It's your history sending you data. And this sensitivity isn't a flaw, it's the beginning of a very particular perception. In fact, this cognitive architecture is often linked to a set of profound strengths. People with this mindset tend to be highly perceptive and deeply intuitive. You don't just see the surface of a situation, you perceive its texture, noticing the subtle inconsistencies that others miss. This isn't a flaw, it's a superpower of observation, and it has a powerful upside. And this is the beautiful trade-off. Because you don't give your trust away freely, it has immense value when you do. The relationships you end up forming aren't built on hope, they're built on evidence. This creates a foundation so solid that the connections are often deeper and more resilient than most. So the goal isn't to tear down this fortress. It's simply to learn how to read the control panel, to distinguish a real threat from a false alarm. To become its wise operator, you can begin with one simple, powerful practice. When an alarm first goes off, don't fight it. One might simply note it. My system is flagging this. Thank you for the warning. Now, let's gather more data. This shifts you from reacting to observing. Your focus becomes their consistency over time. You let their repeated actions, or lack thereof, become the evidence that slowly, carefully turns down the alarm. But this calm, deliberate process is exactly what so often summons your harshest inner critic. So let's speak directly to that inner critic, the one that labels you as broken, cynical, or too guarded. It is wrong. You are not broken. You are a survivor. You built that fortress for a reason, to protect something precious inside. This architecture isn't a monument to your damage. It is a testament to your will to survive. So grant yourself that permission. It is okay to take your time. It is okay to need more evidence than others. This isn't a flaw in your design. It is the beautiful, complex texture of your history, written into the very architecture of your mind. The challenge, then, isn't about demolishing what you've so carefully built. It's about finding the self-compassion to build a single gate and the quiet wisdom to decide, with time, when it feels safe enough to open it. After everything we've seen, what's the one piece of evidence you need before you even consider opening that gate for someone? Answer in the comments below. I read and reply to every single one. This leads us to a surprising connection. In our next video, we'll explore why the trust we give our dogs can be so powerful. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss it. Like if you understood the message and share this with someone who needs it.